Hello guys. So today was a disaster. I mean, this is one of those days where I admit in a video that today I effed up. Um, Remember this, if you see my previous market analysis video on pound USD, uh, I said, I recorded myself saying that this should be a sell because of all this. Went up, came back down, almost like a probe, a long probe. And if it holds below this line, then it's going to be a sell. However, today, all that went out the window, and I went back to my old crappy way of trading because of what I saw on the charts and how it made me feel at that moment. And all the analysis, all the education that I have been doing these past several weeks, I forgot about all those. And as I said earlier, disaster happened. So let me show you what I did. So this was the end of New York, and this was today. I have marked this. This is Asia high and this is a Asia low, as I will show you later. And news is about to come in. Major pound news. The CPI is about to come in. So over here, as the market kept going, it did this. So there was a small breach over here within session. So I thought it's not that powerful. I'll wait and see what happens. And then it did this. After it did this, I was like, whoa, that looks like a reversal. I mean, it went down and then went up again. So what's happening? So now, by this time, I already forgot about all this analysis that I did. All this, I forgot about all this. And then as it went along, the market started doing this. And then, whoa, it breached above. I vaguely remembered, okay, I was about to sell, but now the buyers are starting to come in strong. So now I'm thinking, okay, what if it's acting from this memory over here? Remember this sharp move? I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? So now by this time I'm already thinking, okay, maybe the markets have reversed and I'm getting ready to buy. And the next candle is like, okay, so what's happening now? There's this huge downward move. I'm like, remember, okay, let me show this to you on the 5-minute chart where we can see things more clearly. Actually, the 5-minute chart is where I execute, so let's go there. So as you can see over here, I'm like, I see this and I'm like, okay, so this is my opportunity to buy. And then bam, I entered the trade as I've marked over here. This is the spot. X marks the spot. And as you can see, it went up to here and then came right back down. came right back down. I was like, okay, let's see. When it was here, I was like, okay, let's see. This is like this. Sellers are trying. It will probably go up from over here after hanging around over here. But you see, what I was studying, I am not supposed to execute over here. I'm supposed to execute after this move has happened, and then after the markets have come back and did a holding pattern, which tells me, okay, now the big boys are coming in again for the buys and all that. But none of those happened. But I executed my trade anyway, and so you see it kept going down, 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 and then it took me out. Okay, so now I'm like, okay, I lost this trade, and then I started. I was like, damn, that was a major mistake. So now at this point, I'm thinking, should I go for recovery? Should I go try to recover my loss or stay away from the charts for a while? I first think of staying away. That was the sensible thing to do. That was what I was taught. But after this, the markets do this. The news came, and the markets turned right around and shot back up. After seeing this, I'm like, holy shit, my buyers are back. Sorry about that. Sorry about the language. Uh, so, seeing this, I'm like, man, I need to get in on this. I already forgot that I had decided to stay away from the market for the day or for a few hours at least. After seeing this candle, I'm like, okay, this was on the pound CPI news, remember? So what I was supposed to do here was, after this happens, I was supposed to wait and see what happens after. Remember, this candle uh, went back inside this breach, went right through this Asia high, and then right through this Asia high at this point, and is near this previous high of pound USD. So what I should have been doing was wait, wait and see when this upward move ends, so that so that the sellers come in, gives me a range, and give me my show me where my money spot is, show me that the buyers are back again, so that I can enter with the big boys. But what I did was, again, I entered right here, right at the top, where there are no sellers. And like the previous trade, it kept coming down. You see, when it breached this part, let me mark it. When it breached this part, came back inside this area, this level, I should have realized that, okay, this trade's not happening because this was a probe. But by that time, I was acting like a mindless fool, just trading, 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 trying to make every second count. trying to take all the money, trying to make all the money in the world by this London session. I also forgot another key thing, that you see how the market was moving? You know, it went above this breach and then came right back down and then came back up again and then came back down again over here. So if I extend my perspective a bit, this whole thing is like a range, and these are not breaches. This one, even this one, these are not breaches. They're just poking around above and below. So I was told specifically to stay away from such markets. I didn't. So let's continue. And this does not end here. My stupidity does not end here. So by this time, I'm like, uh, thankfully, I was trading with stop losses set. So I didn't blow my account, but still, the losses were felt quite heavy to me. So I'm now thinking, what in what on earth is happening? I'm like, by the way, pound CPI was good news, though it should be going up. And the dollar news, the USD news were scheduled to come in much later. So after this move, pound should have, done this and should have gone up since it's good news, but it didn't. So I'm like, you know what? This market is ranging. So I'll see if I have a trade on another pair. So I've now what I really should have done was really stay away from the market. But I did not. I went over to Euro Pound and where is that? Yeah, and took this trade. Thankfully, I did not. It went over here and then it came back inside, kept doing this. So I did not wait around for it to go to the stop loss. I closed it somewhere around here. So well, thankfully, I made some good decision over here. So anyway, after this trade, I'm like, okay, enough is enough. So I have two pairs now confirming that pound is weak. So I'm thinking, oh, while I'm in this trade, I also execute another trade on pound USD again. Let me show you. So this one. Yeah. Oh, I don't think this is the one. Well, there was another one. Let me check. Let me check. By the way, I am doing demo trades only at this moment. So I only ended up going out of my mind. If it was real money, I would be tearing myself up, tearing my clothes off, and jumping around like a clown. So let me show you. Okay, you know what? Forget it. So while I was in the euro pound trade, I took I took a trade for the sell this time. Um, that's yeah, I think this is the one. So I took this sell. So while it was doing up and down and up and down, so seeing this, I closed the euro pound trade. That's why it did not go up to the stop loss. But now I was like, um, this time, sorry, I showed you all that in one go. Anyway, this time fear kicked in because of these two trades. This time, uh, you see, after all that, after all that, this was actually a good entry. The sellers came in at it held below this breach Asia low. Let me mark it. It held below this breach level. The buyers tried coming in again, but failed because the sellers brought them down again. And then after this move, it couldn't go up above the breach, and it kept coming down. So I waited for like one, two. I entered on this candle. Let me. What the hell is this? Okay, let me move it aside a bit. Yeah, so I entered on this candle. So it came all the way down here. It came all the way down here, and then I'm like, oh, good, finally. Uh, and then it did this. You see this? It did this. Looks weird, really weird. It did this. It went in the red, and I'm like, oh no, crap! What did I do? So now, as it just got in again, I'm in the green. I close my trade over here, and then the trade takes off. The trade takes off, and I'm like sitting there kicking myself. I like, what the hell did you do? Oh, and I also I did another thing. I did this in the middle. So I truly went haywire today. So after it came down here, did this after this week appeared, it started coming up. So I'm like thinking, okay, the buyers may be back. So I entered another buy. Yes, I entered another buy, and then it takes me out here. It takes me out here, and then finally I'm like, okay, enough is enough. So now with this loss, I get my confirmation that the sellers are back. So now I'm thinking, okay, since the sellers are back, give me a range, give me a small range so I can enter again. So even this one, I mean, I entered too early. I should have waited for the buyers to come in to for the market to turn some sellers into buyers like it did just here. So I should have waited until these few candles. I probably would have entered at the same level, but I should have waited all this out, but I didn't. So how do you turn off these tooltips? Is there any way? Anyway, I'll just make it disappear. Where was that? Okay, so I entered here. I entered this trade, and this time I waited this out. I'm like, heck, I know the sellers are in, so I kept a healthy amount of stop loss. So it went up here and then it came down. I actually, I actually, after entering here, um, after entering here, what? I actually held on to this trade without a TP. It came down all the way here. I'm like, oh, good. So show me a small range or something, a holding pattern, and I'll take my profits. Because this was a good trade. But no, this time what it did was it shot up again almost over here. So seeing this sharp rise, uh, I closed my trade around here with only 10 pips. It came down all the way from, let me show you. It came down all the way to 30 pips, but I didn't hold on, so I closed my trade on its way back up, because now it was fear again, because this is crazy. I mean, after this came back up again. So now I'm like thinking, okay, I made some money. At least I was on the right track this time. So after this move, it started holding here. So and it started holding, came back down. So I entered here again, but this time fear really kicked in on this green one. So I closed early. But if I didn't let my fear influence me, see how this trade worked out. It was another good entry. It was a good trade, but I didn't get it because I was too afraid after these mess ups. This one, this one, this one, this one, another one on the euro pound. So 5 mess ups. It took 5 mess ups, 5 F ups for me to get back on track over here. So I think I'm going to take a breather. No, not from forex trading, but really need to calm myself down, like sit myself down inside my head and really have a good talking to myself that don't do this. Stick to your plan. I mean, this plan over here, it was, uh, let me go to the 15-minute chart. This analysis and this plan over here, it was a great plan. As you can see later, it did work out this way, because these these buys, I mean, I entered before these buys were confirmed as buyers coming in to turn the market around. So my previous day's analysis held that the markets would be taken down. So I really need to stick to my plan. I really need to not let such moves influence me to enter immediately, get FOMO and act on it. I also made another video saying do not trade when you get FOMO. I did that today. So I really need to listen to myself this time. I have video records of it all, and I really need to listen to myself. If I had kept my head straight, today would have been a great trading day for me. So anyway, that's that for now. Good night, I guess.